Welcome to the first ever episode of Girls on Deck, a part of the Hitting Field Network. I'm Kayla Burge.
And I'm Lindsay Tellez, and we are your hosts. And our mission is to empower women and inspire them to follow their passion for sports.
This is an all-female-led show, female-produced, all of the above. So yes, it is very possible for women to be in sports.
And I am so excited to show you guys what we got. Our first show is absolutely packed with amazing content, all about the diamond.
All about baseball.
And we mean baseball.
Yes. And if you're not a fan of baseball, don't worry, because we will be introducing other sports later in the season, but baseball is our passion, so we're a little biased to the sport.
For sure. And no shame.
Yes, no. All right, so we're going to get right into it with probably the biggest news in sports right now is the NBA canceling all their games last Thursday in support of Jacob Blake, who was shot by police last week. Was that last week? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So a tragic event, and it's really awesome to see NBA players taking a stand against police brutality. They've never boycotted a game for such a cause, so it's really powerful, the impact that they can have on such an important cause.
Yes, it's amazing that these players are choosing to use their platform to support what they believe in, and even the MLB team, some of them chose not even to play, and that put an extreme strain on their bodies because that forced them to play double headers the next day, but they didn't even care. So that just shows you how important this cause is to them. And over the weekend, MLB teams wore Jackie Robinson's number 42, and on the nights that they chose not to play, they put his jerseys on both sides of the home plate, and yes. I think that was a beautiful message.
No, it's really powerful, and it's amazing to see how these celebrities, they have it so easy, but they understand that a lot of people just don't have it. Police brutality is a real thing, so it was empowering to see what they could do with their platforms, definitely. And so we wanted to talk over some notable players. One of my that have made such a movement, I would say D. Gordon is one that's been talking a lot. He's saying enough is enough. So it's really, I know you had one that you wanted to mention.
Yes, Tony Kemp has been a leader towards the forefront of this movement, and he even started an organization to keep this conversation going, because it is a conversation that needs to be had. It is a hard pill to swallow, but it's something that cannot be ignored anymore. And Colin Kaepernick started all of this. What was it, a year ago?
Yeah, no, 2 years ago.
2 years ago even. And he was called all sorts of names. He was called a traitor, unpatriotic, and he took the high road. He took the hard road because he wanted to show everyone that this was a problem that needed to be addressed. And he really paved the way for all of these other players now. And now everybody believes that, oh, this is so great. This is amazing that they're paying attention to this. But meanwhile, Colin Kaepernick started it.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think one of the biggest things from this is unity, because that's what this country needs right now, is everyone to come together and just stop hating people for their color or their gender or whatever it may be. It's just, there's so much division at a time like that, and that's the one thing about sports I think that is so powerful, that it has the opportunity to bring people together. Yes,
and their motto has been more than baseball. This is more than basketball, and I think it's a beautiful sight to see.
Yeah, it's definitely bigger than the sport. So now getting into the next thing, a little shift of gears, but who's hot or not? So my hot team of the week has to be the Padres. I mean, I don't think it could be anyone else, Lindsay. What do you think?
That's who I would have picked as whose team is hot right now. Because, I mean, how can you blame us? Which other team would you pick?
Yeah, I love my Dodgers, but they are starting to breathe down the Dodgers' necks. They got Tatis Fernandez Jr. playing amazing. Manny Machado, they're playing the best they've ever played. They've made notable trades, so I think they are a team to watch out for. So that's why I have to say that they're my hot team.
Yes, if I was in the NL West, I would be scared. I'm just saying. So my pick for the team that is not hot are the Washington Nationals. They're coming off of a World Series win. Now, you would think that they would be coming out there with their bats swinging, killing the game, trying to make everybody remember why they won. But it's just been a steady downslope.
Oh, yeah. I was like, they're not even in the news for it. I'm not, you're not hearing their name that much this year, as much as you should be for a World Series winners. So, yeah, they are definitely the not hot this week, but
Yes, they are 12-21 as
oh
of
my
Tuesday. And Juan
embarrassing.
Soto is leading the team in basically pretty much everything.
Yeah.
In RBIs, home runs, slugging, and Trey Turner is close behind him, leading in runs and hits for the team.
Maybe the loss of Rendon was too much for them. They couldn't.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. And two players cannot carry the team on their own.
Absolutely not. Definitely not.
Yep, and they're at the bottom of the NL East. I mean, I don't see them making a comeback. What do you think, Kayla?
No, I think it's too far gone at this point. They had their one World Series wins, and I think they let it get to their head for sure.
Yes, I'm sorry to my Nats fans, but I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Last year's win was a fluke.
Ooh,
don't at me.
Hot take. Okay, so let's get into notable trades. I know you're really excited about this one, the Mitch Moreland trade.
Yes, so first baseman Mitch Moreland, veteran player for the Red Sox, got traded to the Padres. Now, I was thinking, why would the Red Sox let this veteran player go? But I noticed when I was looking at the roster that a lot of their players are older.
Yeah.
They're reaching their 30s, they're over their 30s. So maybe they're just looking for that young pop that they have in Rafael Devers. Maybe they're trying to find somebody who meshes well with him because he's been a prominent figure in the Red Sox so far.
Not only that, and we're going to get into a little bit of like who the Red Sox traded for Mitch Moreland later, but I think they're looking at it now like it's a chance to rebuild. A chance, like you said, there's older players. So this is their opportunity to bring in new young players and maybe get something better in the future. Obviously not in these next 2 years. I don't see anything happening for them, but this is something that could really make them prosper in the future, definitely.
Yes, and the Padres are building a super team.
Oh yeah,
from this trade deadline.
I kept hearing names. I'm like, wait, where does it end? Where does it end?
Yeah, I counted up to like 9 or 10 players that they acquired, and I'm like, what is going on?
I'm like, okay, Padres, I see you.
Yes, Mitch Moreland is hitting above 300. He has 22 hits in his last 23 games. So it's honestly a great move for the Padres. He's going to be their DH, and I'm really excited what he can do with that team.
No, definitely. The Padres are probably my most exciting team to watch this rest of this season, definitely.
For sure.
And then next trade we want to talk about is the Dodgers trade Ross Stripling to the Blue Jays for 2 players. One is still yet to be named, but the other one is right-hand pitcher Kendall Williams. Now, this is something that, so trade pitcher for pitcher, and then we don't know the other player, obviously. But I think this could be beneficial to the Dodgers. They had Dustin May, and they saw what a rookie could do for them. So maybe get a couple more rookies in there, and then next year when David Price comes back, I think it could be very beneficial for my Dodgers. So I'm excited.
Yes, for sure. I think during this trade deadline, I noticed that there was a lot of younger players getting moved around.
Definitely.
So
because I feel like people are seeing what these young players are capable of now, because with a lot of the COVID-19, a lot of players having to sit out and stuff, those young players have been getting their opportunity to make their MLB debuts maybe sooner than they would have, and it's working. The Marlins had with that 7-game win streak with a bunch of rookies. So I think teams are seeing what rookies can do.
Yes, and it's really showcasing their farm systems.
Definitely.
Because, one player might get injured and then they bring up somebody from AAA who's maybe been down there for too long. They just didn't have a place for him.
Yeah.
And that player might possibly be better than the one that they had already in that position. So, I'm saying that 2020 is the year of the rookies, and
Absolutely.
I'm so here for it.
Yes. No, I was going to say the same thing. I'm like, I love this. It's like making baseball fresh and exciting. So definitely love that.
Yep, so I'm going to take it away with my last notable trade that I thought was interesting. Second baseman Brock Holt was signed by the Nationals. Now, he didn't really play that much with the Brewers last season and this season either, but with the Red Sox, he was a dominant force. He's a utility player, so those players are hard to come by and very valuable, and he helped them win a World Series in 2018. So
I think maybe that's something that can help the Nationals, maybe not this year, but next year.
Yeah, I mean, he was barely hitting 100 with the Brewers. I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it was just a change of environment is good for these players.
I mean, we saw, Christian Yelich with the Marlins. He was a decent player, but he goes to the Brewers, and he's all of a sudden one of the best players in the league. So you can see how team dynamic can change the way a player plays. Absolutely.
For sure. It can be a blessing or it can be a curse, Let's take a look at, Garrett Cole on the Yankees.
Yikes.
He was getting smacked around by the Rays the other day.
Absolutely. All their pitchers. Tanaka was like a deer in headlights, I swear. It was just not. They're not playing. It's, again, team dynamic is everything, I think.
Yes, and the environment is so important. And even it could be the weather.
Yeah.
That it could be affecting their performance, and it could be the pitching staff, the coaching staff, the hitting staff, their teammates, if they're not meshing well with them, because it's all about team chemistry and how you play as a team. So
absolutely.
I'm excited to see how all these trades
definitely
fare out.
All right, well, that's all we have for this first segment, but stay tuned because we have so much more coming up. Thank you.
Stay tuned.
Well, guys, it's officially been announced. Almost Game Day is coming to HTFN on Fridays on the HTFN YouTube page. I'm super excited to share my knowledge and my thoughts on these issues in the sports world, good and bad. And I'm excited to have interviews with such high-profile guests that I'll be bringing on the show to talk to me about these issues. And I guess I will announce it here first on this Friday who will be my debut guest. Charles Davis from CBS Sports will join me to discuss a multitude of topics. So get ready for that, dropping on Friday. I'm super excited to be working with so many amazing people to get this show up, and I hope you'll tune in. Almost Game Day with Sean Green, airing on Fridays, only on HTFN.
And welcome back to Girls on Deck. We're getting into a more serious topic, but still an important one, COVID-19.
Everyone's least favorite disease right now.
Miss Corona needs to wrap it up. So when someone hits a walk-off to win the game, there's usually Gatorade showers. There's a huge mosh pit of players at home plate. There's hugging. There's high fives, all this stuff. But now with coronavirus, you can't really do that anymore.
No.
And it's basically the players have to rewire their brain because that's muscle memory now.
Oh yeah. The butt slap is very common, so I don't know how they're avoiding that this go around. Yeah. It definitely makes it a little more like, of course, understandably so, like we can't have any chances of people getting corona, but it does make it a little more sad, like you want to see them celebrating, you want to see them doing all that stuff, and they can't right now. So it's a little sad, but maybe next year we'll get back to a better place with that. So
yes, especially with when Lucas Giolito had a shutout game. Of course, social distancing was pushed aside, and rightly so. I mean, these guys are getting tested. They're doing what they have to do, and especially since the Marlins outbreak a couple weeks ago, MLB has really, really stepped it up.
No, they definitely have, because for a while you didn't see another outbreak, and then just recently this past Sunday, the Astros and Athletics game got canceled because Athletics players contracted the coronavirus, and they nipped it in the butt right away. No, game postponed, make sure no one gets it, and we haven't really heard of it being spread to the Astros or anything so far. So this is something that's, it's good that they're getting on it. And, that was something I was personally nervous about going into it because, the NBA set up the bubble.
Yes.
And so they can hug, they can do all that stuff because they're all basically quarantining together. The MLB did not do that. They're still traveling. They're still, you don't know where they're going to come in contact with. So it did scare me that this season would. I thought, honestly, I'm not going to lie, I thought it was going to get canceled halfway through because it would just be too much. But it's good to see that the MLB is like taking the precautions it needs to so that it doesn't have to get canceled, and then they can still play baseball.
Yes, it's a lot to ask of these players because a lot of them have families, a lot of them have newborns that were just born, so it's a lot to ask of them to change the way that they play the game and how they interact with their teammates, and to ask them to you can't chew tobacco, you can't spit, you can't lick your hands, which is very important. A lot of pitchers do that, and ever since August, they've really stepped up their protocols. They even added they can't hang out in their hotel rooms together anymore. They all have their own separate room. You can't go anywhere without it being.
You can't go down to the bar, as Jeter was letting the Marlins do.
Yes,
so.
you can't. You have to get it approved by the officer in charge of that. It's like it's basically like they're in prison or something.
Yeah.
They have so many rules that they have to follow, and it's really hard, and it's difficult for them
absolutely.
to adjust to this, but I'm happy that they're doing what they have to do. And like we talked about the A's and Astros game, it was
Yeah.
only one player on the Athletics, and they completely shut
Yeah.
down everything, even the AAA teams.
Mhm.
And
We've seen how contagious this disease is,
Yes.
like one person can have it and then 50 other people now get it. So it's nothing to take a chance with, honestly. You can't take a chance with it.
yes, of course. So we're going to switch topics.
Switch gears a little bit.
And we're going to talk about Player of the Week.
Week.
I'm really excited
Yes,
for this topic.
I think this is something that me and Lindsay just both agreed on like right away. Like there's just like no other player that came to mind for us at least. So.
Yes, no debate. So we have picked White Sox second baseman El Cubano Jose Abreu. Now he is tied at second place with Trout in the RBI race at 32, and he just has pop.
He is
among that
killing
Cuban
it.
lineup.
Literally, no, he is kicking butt and taking names. Basically, he's doing what he needs to do to become on top. I mean, he's up there. He's in the top 3, I believe, with home runs for the season.
Yes.
So it's just he's killing it, and it's good to see as a White Sox player. That's something. Again, we've mentioned this already, but we're both excited to see this team like prosper. So
yes, the White Sox are my top 2 favorite teams, and they got it together this season.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Something just clicked, and that I always talk about that Cuban connection.
I was gonna say you mentioned the Latino power. I was like,
yeah,
maybe.
You can't deny it.
You can't deny it.
La Fuerza Cubana is real. And Jose Abreu, he's on a 15-game hit streak right now. Like, that is crazy. And his teammates, Yohan Moncada and Luis Robert, they call him the leader of the team. And that's because, he basically mentors them. He's a veteran player. And what he's telling them is really clicking up
working,
here.
yeah. And I think that honestly makes you a better player is when you can lead a team. Like, that's what makes you a Hall of Famer. That's what makes you, like, the next level is when you can have that ability to get a whole team doing something right, So I definitely think that's something that was important. Okay, so now up-and-coming prospects. Now we're really excited. Again, we mentioned before that this is a rookie season.
For sure.
So I know, Lindsay, you wanted to talk about Sixto Sanchez from the Marlins.
Yes, how can I? Now, he is a 22-year-old right-handed pitcher on the Miami Marlins. Now, he has had 2 starts so far in the majors, and the most recent one was against the Rays on Saturday. He had 7 innings of scoreless ball, 10 strikeouts. Does it get any better than that?
No, it doesn't. Against the Rays, who just swept the Yankees, who are at the top of the MLB right now. So that's pretty impressive from a rookie to be able to do that all himself.
Yes, it's a huge adjustment. We always talk about that when these players get brought up from the minors, because you're facing major league hitters now. And they have the jitters, they stress out, they have anxiety, all of that stuff. But he just came out there, he got on that mound, and he showed what he had. He says that his changeup is his main pitch, and he can trust it a lot to get outs, which is important to have that one pitch in your pocket where you can just, if something goes
rely
wrong,
on it,
that you can always rely on it.
That's definitely something super crucial.
Yes, and he was hitting 100 miles per hour with his fastball. With a rookie? Are you kidding me?
What?
I was watching the game and I was just like, yes,
Literally.
I'm here for it.
All right, so next one is the big one that everyone's talking about, which is the Padres trading Mitch Moreland for 2... Am I saying that right? No, the Red Sox trading Mitch Moreland.
Yes.
Sorry, long morning. To the Padres for outfielder Jason Rosario and Hudson Potts infielder. So I think for this is proving what I said earlier about the Red Sox, of them wanting to just get a restart, rebranding, or a new team, because they clearly can see that their current team is not working for them. It's not going to work for them. So I'm excited to see that they're bringing in new players, young players, to get them started and get a future of the Red Sox.
Yes, for sure. The future of these teams relies on these young guys, because it's a difficult job. It's a lot to ask. They need to fill the shoes, especially filling the shoes of Mitch Moreland.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
We'll see. I mean, again, they have a lot of they can't make the Red Sox worse at this point. So anything is just good right now for the Red Sox. So sorry if you're a fan.
We apologize. We apologize.
We're praying for
all
you.
love. All
Yeah.
love. So I'm going to close out this conversation talking about the Astros' Kyle Tucker, outfielder. Now, he's 23 years old. He came up last season, but he didn't really get a lot of playing time. So, it's hard to try and cram and show what you have in so little games.
Yeah, of course.
Because like you said, you have to get all those jitters and those worries out of the way, and it's a big adjustment.
Definitely.
So this season he is definitely competing for a permanent spot in the outfield, and he is number 5 in the RBI race with 29.
Yeah.
and he has as many hits as games that he's played. He came out of nowhere. I wasn't too impressed with Tucker, to be honest with you, when I was watching the Astros games. And now all of a sudden, he's a difficult out.
I feel like that's the trend this season. It's like, yeah, I don't really expect much from this guy. He's not going to. And then all of a sudden, it's like, wait, what? He's leading. He's got the most home. What's happening here? Like, seems to be the very common trend, is just the underdogs coming up and kicking butt.
Yeah, I feel like with the no fans on the stands, they're really hearing what we have to say behind the TV, because I used to talk a lot of crap. I'm not going to lie about Tucker, and it's like he's hearing me and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll show you."
He's got it. He's on Twitter. He knows. Definitely. All right, well, that's all for segment 2. We have another break for you, but when we come back, we'll have Johnny Jackson talking about his podcast and some baseball hot topics. Stay tuned.
Speaking of guys who tore it up in summer camp, I mean, Vince Velasquez, it's just night and day what happened to him.
He's been probably the most frustrating player that I've had the pleasure to watch with the Phillies. And I call it a pleasure because he is fun to watch. And he's got the stuff, and you think that he's going to just put it all together, have a very good season. And he's made so many great plays. Like, he threw out a guy from left field last season. Remember, he got hit in the right arm, couldn't throw, picks it up left-handed, throws a bullet to first. You remember that stuff, but then you just look at the end of the season, and it was another... you see some signs that he's going to put it all together, but again, just not quite.
And we're back with the one and only Johnny Jackson, host of the Taking Me Out to the podcast. Johnny, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How you girls doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really excited. It's our first episode, so we're really pumped.
Yes, I'm super excited to get this going.
So tell us more about Take Me Out to the podcast. I want to know everything.
So Take Me Out to the podcast started last spring. Shout out Jeremy Brenner for coming up with the name.
Love Jeremy.
Love that man to death. It was really a chance for us to get more baseball content because, one show a week, it's really hard to cover all the sports. And it's something that I've wanted to do for a while. And especially going into the network, I thought it was a great idea to rebrand because I'll be honest, I hated the logo I made for it in spring. I hated the graphics that I made for it. And it was nice to have an excuse to change it rather than just doing it on my own. And yeah, it's rebranded. We're coming back with more guests. So as of right now, we have guests for the first 4 weeks already, recorded and everything. So that should be good.
Okay.
And,
wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to showing it to everybody.
That's awesome. We're so excited for you. I definitely can't wait to listen. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, so make sure you guys check it out. Take Me Out to the Podcast by Mr. Johnny Jackson. Graphic design is his passion. Don't forget it. So I just want to jump right into these questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So Justin Verlander, the pitcher for the Houston Astros, came out last year and he noticed something was weird about the baseballs and the unusual amount of home runs hit last year. So what are your thoughts on that?
So it's due to two factors. Batters are being incentivized through money, through winning, that home runs equal a lot more money, a lot more runs, obviously, so they win more games. And also a fantastic astrophysicist, Meredith Wells, you can follow her on Twitter. She's done a lot of studies on the baseballs, and she's found that the baseballs are indeed flying further than they were in years past, 2018 was like the worst year in terms of ball aerodynamics, which is why we saw a lot less offense, a lot less homers. I think the league lead was like 41, 42 by like Chris Davis. And then we saw last year with Pete Alonso, 2019, he hit like 53. So that's not just due to Pete Alonso getting huge muscles,
Yeah.
even though he's a very large man. But like Belly hit 47, Trout hit like 48, Yelich hit like somewhere in the mid 40s.
I remember because in 2017, that was the year Giancarlo Stanton hit, what was it, 59 in the end? 59 homers.
Yeah, 59.
And there wasn't too much, like Aaron Judge wasn't far behind him. There was a lot of people that had just a lot of homers that year. And then I remember in 2018, I'm like, wait, what happened? Like, it just felt like it was just significantly less. It was like, they weren't the same people. It was just weird. And then again, back in 2019, it jumped again, and it was like Bellinger. Like it was weird. I remember I noticed that definitely.
Yeah, and the balls are different. I think she said, if I'm remembering correctly, it's something to do with how tightly the seams are wound into the ball. So in 2019 and 2017, they're wound tighter, which means like there's less air resistance and a lot of math that I don't know and I'm not qualified to explain to anybody. So
You're not?
No.
Yes, it definitely has something to do with MLB trying to increase their viewers because unfortunately the truth of the matter is young people aren't as into baseball.
Oh no, my friends roast me every time I'm like, I want to watch baseball. They're like, that's boring, it's lame. I'm like, you just wait.
Right, and my boyfriend always says that it takes a high IQ to watch
Definitely,
baseball.
yes,
And once you get into the scheme of things and get into the little details, the game is so exciting. You just have to watch out for those things. And people forget that baseball is America's pastime.
Yeah.
It's not football. I'm
No.
sorry, football fans out there, but the reality is
It's baseball.
it's baseball. And
sorry.
you should take the time to watch it because you'll have a great time.
Mm-hmm.
I think the real issue of the matter is why young people aren't watching baseball. It's very easy to watch basketball at a surface level, right? Get the ball in the hoop. It's very easy to not know anything about basketball and watch basketball. It's very easy to know nothing about football and watch football. Football gets a lot more interesting the more you know. And like, I don't know that much and I can still understand most of it. And Whitley knows everything. He knows every single player's middle name and he knows everything and he can really understand it. But baseball, it's very hard to watch baseball casually because it's just so long and there's not that much action. Like if you don't know anything about like breaking balls or like pitch sequencing, it's very hard to watch a pitcher throw well.
Yeah,
For sure.
Definitely. All right, next question. How much of a threat do you think the Padres are to the Dodgers? They've made some phenomenal trades. They're second in the NL West now, and the Dodgers are killing it too, but does it scare you for how well the Padres are doing right now?
I don't know if scares me is the right word. It more gets me excited because I don't necessarily like other people do, but I don't like, no adversity, no challenge. Like if I want to win, I want the Dodgers to win the World Series and I want them to win it in a dogfight. I think we're seeing a similar thing with the Padres and the White Sox right now, where they're a year ahead of schedule. I don't think a lot of people saw them this high up in the playoff race until 2021, maybe 2022. Yeah. Some of that's due to the season and teams getting off hot and playing. The Central is the worst division in baseball, both of them. So it's very easy for a team like the White Sox to get hot and steamroll through that division. Yeah. And the NL West is not great either because the Rockies suck, the Giants suck, the D-backs have sucked so far because none of their players are hitting. So it's really just the Dodgers and the Padres. And even with Chris Paddock pitching like a 5-year-old on a big league mound, they're still winning games. They're finding ways to win games.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it definitely makes it more interesting when you have a little bit of competition.
Yes, and it really brings out the best in everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
When it really shows off their skills and what they got, because it's easy to just step all over teams that really have no chance in the postseason. But when you're head to head, like how it's usually been with the Yankees and the Red Sox and those kind of matchups, it really shows you who comes out on top.
Definitely.
So we're going to keep going. And my question for you is, we're at the midpoint of the season already. Can you believe it?
I
just
know.
feel like
It's
the
like
season
weird.
started yesterday and it makes me really sad to say. But at this point in the season, who do you pick as Rookie of the Year?
That's tough.
Pressure's on.
I think the obvious ones are right. It's between Kyle Lewis and Luis Robert in the American League, and maybe Jake Cronenworth for the Padres, like the infielder who's played a little bit everywhere in the National League. I mean, there's maybe Dustin May, but he doesn't get the swing and misses that the voters like, because the voters a lot of times don't do their jobs well. We saw that in 2016 with Rick Porcello winning a Cy Young that he didn't deserve. But
Tell us how you really
yeah,
feel, Johnny.
I mean, listen, we're getting more towards like analytically based voting, which I'm in favor of because it's very hard. Like pitcher wins shouldn't matter. They do. Annoying. But yeah, I think Cronenworth is going to be it for the NL, and Kyle Lewis's peripherals aren't great, so he might regress. But there's also only 30 games left to go, so
Yes.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Kyle Lewis is going to do it. He's not on a great team, which might hurt him. But I think Kyle Lewis is not going to regress to the point that he looks worse than Luis Robert over the entire 60-game stretch.
All right. So that leads me into my next question then. Who is your underdog team that's going to surprise everyone and come out not on top necessarily, but just make a good fight in the end?
So this question's really annoying to me, and I talked to you both about it yesterday because at the beginning, in December, I was like, oh, White Sox, they're the underdog team. The Rays are the underdog team, but they're not the underdog team anymore. They're first in the division. It is exciting to me and it infuriates me because I have to pick someone else for this question. And I think I'm still going to go with the Cincinnati Reds.
Okay.
Because they do have the worst schedule in baseball in terms of teams winning percentages. And their three-headed monster of Sonny Gray, who did not pitch very well his last start, Trevor Bauer, and what's his name? Oh my gosh, Luis Castillo. There we go. The first round of the playoffs is a 3-game set. Mm-hmm. And with those 3 guys going in, they could easily get to that 5-game set. And then the playoffs are kind of a crapshoot at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree with that. Definitely, Trevor Bauer's monster of a pitcher. So I definitely could agree with that. Again, I was in the same boat in the beginning. I was like, the White Sox are going to be the underdogs. But now it's like, they're not even an underdog anymore. They're just killing it consistently. So definitely could agree with that for sure.
Yes, what the Reds need is for their hitters to back up their pitchers because in the end of the day, it's a team effort. And a pitcher can go out there and pitch a great game. But then if the hitters aren't hitting, what can you do? It might be a pitcher's battle.
I mean, we've seen that in the last couple World Series that it's a pitching battle, but you need both. You can't win with just one.
Yes,
so.
You definitely need run support. So that's what the Reds need right now.
I think the biggest thing for the Reds is because Raisel Iglesias hasn't been himself this year. Neither is Amir Garrett, really. They got Archie Bradley at the deadline, which I think is really going to help them in their bullpen because their bullpen, it hasn't been like Phillies bad, but it's still been pretty bad. And also they got Brian Goodwin, who's a good lefty outfield bat, who's really, I think, going to be kind of a steady source of hits in their lineup.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Johnny Jackson. Everyone stay tuned for the Take Me Out podcast, and I hope you have a great day.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
And welcome back to Girls on Deck. We are on our final word, last segment already. It went by so fast, but I had so much fun.
No, it's definitely exciting. We had a great first episode. We're super excited to share it with y'all. So let's get into it, Lindsay.
So we are going to start with this week in baseball history, and we're throwing it back to September 2nd, 1998, when Cardinals first baseman, you guys might know this name, not sure,
he's not really that big
kind
of
of
a
not a
player,
legend,
yeah.
Mark McGwire. He hit his 58th and 59th home runs, and he ended up finishing the season with 70, which that actually broke the previous record held by Yankees Roger Maris in 1961, and he hit 61 home runs.
That's insanity. I remember seeing Stanton hit 59 in 2017, and I was like, this is insane. So I could not imagine 20 or 10 more home runs. Like, no. That doesn't even seem real.
Yes, and that's right behind legend Barry Bonds with 73. So, when we take a look at today's hitters and what people were hitting last season, Pete Alonso, Cody Bellinger, Ronald Acuna Jr. They were all part of the 40-plus home runs last year, and that was a huge celebration.
Yeah,
that was a big deal.
In this current day baseball, that's like a 70-type season, Like, we expect that. Like, it's an insane goal to reach, so it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy what they could do back then.
Yeah, I don't really see anybody getting close to 70, hopefully, because, I love seeing these records, and, it's great for them to be broken, but, that's a part of history, and, it's going to take somebody with a lot of
Oh yeah.
to break Barry Bonds' record.
Oh yeah. No, Stan was getting there. I was a little excited, but it's okay. 70's not there yet. All right, so now getting into changing it to more serious tone. This was a little bit of a debacle. An NHL and MLB announcers have chosen to make insensitive comments. I'll start with the NHL. Mike Milbury, a longtime NHL announcer, had made a comment saying, "Not even any woman here to disrupt your concentration." Saying this because there's no fans currently at the playoffs in the hockey league. Yeah.
Yeah. That is what it is.
It's why I just want to know why, like, there's so many questions that I have for that statement, like why a woman would disrupt your concentration. Do you suck at your job that you can't see a woman right there and not like die or something? Like like the comment is so, first of all, it's dangerous. Like, why is a woman disrupting your concentration? Like that sounds like, I don't know, like predatory. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, seeing that comment honestly infuriated me because this is the 20th century.
Yeah.
21st century, okay? And, women might even do a better job than you.
Absolutely.
So there are always people, if you don't think that you are competing for somebody behind you, then you are wrong.
Absolutely.
Because there could be somebody behind you watching you, waiting for just one tiny slip up and then trying to swoop in and take your job.
Oh yeah, and that woman disrupting your concentration could take over your job and the network one day, so have fun with that.
That would just be the ultimate revenge, and I would love it.
Love it. And then within the same week, Tom Brenneman, who was a Reds announcer, made a very insensitive comment towards the LGBTQ plus community. Again, why is this happening in this century? These are men that, you know what I mean? Like, sports is changing, the society is changing, and we should be in a world that we're accepting of people coming as they are. As long as you're a good person, it does not matter what you look like, what your sexuality is. Why can't we accept people as they are? I don't understand that.
Yes, it doesn't matter whether you're polka dots, black,
Yeah,
white, yellow,
literally.
green. It just, like I said, it infuriates me
It
because
does.
you're supposed to be a role model for young children and young adults watching. Even adults, you're supposed to be setting an example for how you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to act, and how you're supposed to treat people. And this is just not it.
No, absolutely not. It's what like, are you so comfortable in your position that you think you have the power to do that? And both of them said it was it supposed to be off camera, right? Like, why are you speaking like that in general, especially in a workplace? Like, you're not like God, you're not untouchable here. So I don't know why it's so easy for you to make such comments and then have some sorry excuses after. It was like, I'm so sorry, I really didn't mean to do that. No, you know what you were doing.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yes, you did, because you thought that your mic was off. So, like we said, you felt comfortable to reveal your true colors. And honestly, your true colors are really ugly. And those kind of people who believe those sort of things should not be involved in sports,
No,
period.
should not have such a position. I'm glad Tom Brenneman stepped down, and so did Mike Milbury, or they got fired. I don't care. Either way, you'll never see them again on Sports Talk,
Adios.
basically. Bye-bye. There's plenty of people, women, LGBTQ plus members, like, there's plenty of people ready to take that position over, and they might do it better. Probably will.
Yes, we need to make sure that, these kinds of people aren't hired.
No.
Because those opinions are just not okay.
They're dangerous,
They're not
too.
acceptable.
It's dangerous to have such opinions like that, It's not, like, that's why there's so much hate in this country, is because little things like that build up. Those little words, oh, it's just a word, it was just a comment. No, that builds up. The little girl at home watching, Mommy, why am I a distraction? That changes perspective on a lot, and it's wrong. It shouldn't be happening in this day and age that we're in.
Yes, it shouldn't be happening, period.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for tuning into our first episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at girlsondeck_HTFN. I'm your host, Kayla Burge, and she is...
And I am Lindsay Tellez, and we'll be back next Wednesday on the Hitting the Fields YouTube. You won't want to miss it.
Stay tuned.